Welcome back to the Reseller Journey podcast. And in this episode, we got my brother, Jake, with J Ride Flips. Maybe you guys have seen his videos. Maybe you haven't. But he's a full-time reseller, and he's going to be deep diving some tips, some secrets, some outlooks on the reselling market. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is a third or fourth time. It's a good time every time.
Yeah, every time I learn something new, just interviewing other full-time resellers. So I know if you guys are looking to get into reselling, take some of these principles, these keys, and try to apply them to your business. We're just going to start it off. I don't want to waste time. We're going to get into some predictions. What are some forecasts within the resale market? Let's say if resellers fail to do this in 2025, they're going to be out of business. What's that one thing that they should look to do in this upcoming year?
Man, it's what's tough about really any industry is everyone is like looking for the hacks specific to their job, but I feel like what actually improves your business is all encompassing for every industry. So everyone wants to know how to hack the eBay algorithm or how to make it so your items get in front of more people through an algorithmic standpoint. But if you just become a better person, better business owner, better all of the above, you're just going to get better at eBay reselling. So everyone's looking for the how can I stack these keywords when it really should be how can I be the best business owner possible, and that comes from learning every day and just working really hard.
Perfectly said. Because it's costing me $1 million a year not knowing how to make $1 million a year.
Yep.
When it comes down to that, is like be more valuable, be more skillful, and the end result is everything that you're searching for, right? Like the hacks, the get rich quick. That's a result of becoming better. That's it.
Yeah.
I love that. That is a perfect answer. Same thing that I'm thinking is like, just how can I become better, and everything else will fall in line.
I
Well, I
think if
love
you
that.
can take 2 minutes off of your mile time, you can make you can add $20,000 to your pocketbook. I really think there's that much of a correlation. Just like understanding, hey, I'm going to be a healthy person that makes sacrifices and does things that other people don't want to do. And even though it doesn't affect my business whatsoever, it has everything to do with how much money I'm going to make this year.
100%. Yeah. Learning just is like the lost art of learning, reading, getting better. It's like people want the easy button now more than ever. And
Mm.
unfortunately, if you want to be in a business to like do this for the long run, it's going to take a lot of seasons of sacrifice. Just like yourself, it didn't take a month for you to get to this point. It took grind, the season of
Yeah.
grind. You're still in that season. Okay, now switching to like platforms, you see platforms popping up all over the place with the live selling. Out of all the reselling platforms, I know eBay's king for the resale market. But which one maybe will catch you by surprise next year? Which one do you maybe see having like the most growth and the most money making potential?
So what's cool about being an influencer is I actually get emails from time to time from new companies starting up wanting a sponsorship video. I get emails from established companies saying, hey, we're really going to go hard in this branch of our business, or we're going to launch this new platform. We want you to talk about it and put it out there. So it's really cool. Like it's almost like a behind the scenes look of what's actually going on. There's actually I'm hearing a little bit of echo. It's not.
Yeah, there's a button for
Yeah,
that.
no worries. Yeah, it's not affecting me or whatever. I just hope it doesn't mess up the stream. But
Right.
there's actually a few different companies in my email right now that haven't even launched that are saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Like, is this something that you'd be interested in introducing to your audience, working with us, things like that? So there's a lot of things coming, and I'm being really vague on purpose. I know that's probably annoying, but because I don't know which of these companies I want to work with, if any of them. But there's a lot of companies using AI, using a ton of different things that will improve processes on other platforms. And there's also platforms being born from these new tools. I really see eBay just continuing to be the best reselling platform. A lot of people have complaints about Mercari, how they're always switching back and forth, but I think that they have a good hold on Google. They do good at capturing people. Like I sell 1 to 3 items a day on Mercari, and probably more than half of them are first time buyers that will probably never really come back to the platform again until they find their item on Google and click on Mercari again. I think Mercari is going to do okay. There's like rumors that it's going to go under, but I think that it'll survive. But even if it doesn't, it's really not going to affect us. All those people will just go to Poshmark and eBay and stuff. So I see the big three of the reselling, the eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, just kind of trucking along and improving over time and just being a good place to sell used stuff.
Right. Are you a reseller looking to make some extra money? Well, we are expanding our wholesale team where we have 31 people where we buy inventory from nationwide. They are able to at least double their money by going to places like the Goodwill bins, flea markets, thrift stores, yard sales, and we put some money in their pocket. So we have a brand list of over 300 brands. We are buying all types of brands on that list. We're able to buy thousands of pieces of inventory every week, and we want to put a little bit of money in your pocket. So if that sounds interesting, book a call down below. We'll get you onboarded, we'll get you through the training, and we'll start seeing if we could work together. And I still think like the shift is happening from, just with whatever's happening in the economy, the people want the secondhand goods. It's like I went to Ralph Lauren the other day, $90 for a pair of socks.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
nuts.
come on now. So if people are so-called struggling, they're going to look to make that change, whether it's clothing or whatever, buying a people are looking to save money in some way, right? So no, that's beautiful. Now, is there like a specific niche within reselling that you see that is going to gain even more popularity maybe next year? Maybe something that you are trying to get into?
I think parts is great. It's like it's the most probably broad category, but it's kind of niche because it's parts. The bearded, there's so many bearded guys here on YouTube. I think it's Bearded
Yeah.
Picker. He's
Okay.
talking about how he's selling a ton of microwave parts and induction oven parts, and I sell a ton of vacuum parts. I sell a ton of food processor parts, and then people even need parts on just to really make anything, not even electrical. There's just parts for everything. And I really see a lot of people, like you said, they don't want to spend $90 on new clothes. They'd rather buy 6 buttons for $11 and sew it themselves. Or they would rather, instead of getting a new Dyson vacuum because theirs just went out, just buying the brush head that snapped and replacing it instead.
Yeah. I mean, car parts in general, I think is the
Car parts is
biggest.
awesome. Yeah.
It's the biggest, I believe, on eBay. So yeah, and I see you do all that all the time. You will make
Mhm.
more money off of a single part than selling the whole item complete, which is crazy. This shows that
Yeah.
supply and demand, which when you go back to how value is created is supply and demand, right? So there might not be a big supply of Dyson brush heads out there, but there's a ton of Dysons, right? Yeah, you got it right. No, I love that. I love it. What is your plans for 2025? I mean, it's coming up. Do you got a goal? Do you got a plan to help your business grow?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So I lived in St. George, which is so as you know, on the West Coast, it's different. There's huge cities, but you have to drive minimum 2 hours, sometimes four, sometimes six to get to the next major city. It's not like on the East Coast where you drive any direction for 45 minutes and you go from 2 million population metropolitan to another 2 million metropolitan. So I lived in St. George. I lived 3.5 hours away from the Provo, Salt Lake area. And then I lived just under 2 hours away from Vegas. So I was a little capped on in-person sourcing. And so I made a really good amount of money just in St. George. But now I've moved to an area that has. So in St. George, I had one major thrift store, two small ones. Now, here where I live in northern Utah, I have 48 major thrift stores and like 75 small ones. So they're everywhere. So just from that perspective, and just living in a place where there's 3.5 million people, yard sales are more abundant, things like that as well. So I'm gonna be. I think I think I want to make a video next week or 2 weeks, whenever the New Year is, I want to make like a glass bowl video and say, this is how much money I made in 2024, and I'm going to double it in 2025, which is really cool because there's a lot of people that talk about how eBay won't let you break past a certain threshold. And I understand the logic, but I just don't believe in it. So I think that I can take my established 3-year account that's already producing hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue per year. And I think that I can get close to doubling it. I think that I can increase my revenue by 75, 80, maybe even over 100%, just because I've learned a lot more about how to get items to come to me, and now I live in an area where I can go out and get more items that are around me. So I'm gonna try to. I'm looking big time for next year.
And two, it's like it's not impossible because if other people have done it, then what
Yeah.
are they doing that I'm not doing so I can get the results? You know, it's not like we're
Hmm.
talking about impossible things here. It comes to mind like Resell Brothers, they do clothing. I think they
Yep.
did like 500,000 last year, and I think they're going to do close to 800,000 this year on eBay.
Yep. And
So
that's a really great business.
in
That's really
clothing,
great. Yep.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's possible, guys. And that kind of falls into a question later, a mindset question. But
Great.
this is the thing I get all the time. People struggle to find inventory.
Yep.
What are you very much like to think outside the box, which I really appreciate. What are some uncommon ways, other than the thrift store, to find
Uh-huh.
product? If people are struggling.
Don't worry, I'm not being disrespectful and getting on my phone.
No,
I'm
you're
showing
calling
you something.
your social manager. No.
Okay, there is a chance that these are fake, but I just purchased these watches on eBay
Mhm.
for $20 plus $5 in shipping. Right there in the middle is a Rolex watch worth about $2,700. And right next to it is a Louis Vuitton watch for $1,300 that I got for 25 bucks. It doesn't matter if I lived in St. George or San Diego or Louisiana or Alabama or New York. It doesn't matter where I live. I am making a lot of money from buying things on eBay, selling the top, usually I've gotten pretty good at it to where I can find lots where 70% of the lot is sellable one item at a time. So like I'll buy 100 glasses and like 70% of them will be your Coach and your Ray-Ban and all that. And I can sell 70 of them individually. The next 30% I'm able to lot back up on eBay or on Shop Commons or on whatnot, and I'm able to sell it off as bulk, usually for the amount that I bought the listing for in the first place. So I get all of my money back, and then everything that I make is just gravy train from there. So
Unreal.
for those of you that have terrible thrift stores, a lot of people don't like me here on YouTube because I say that it is not your fault that you don't have good items. Sorry, I say it is your fault that you don't have good items because I do get a lot of inventory from thrift stores, but if I didn't have thrift stores, I would be completely okay because of eBay.com, Amazon.com, retail arbitrage, making connections with other people. There's just a ton of different ways to get inventory.
Yeah, there's not a shortage of product when it comes to living in the US, right? Like
Yep.
junk removal is a business. A
Junk removal is
multi
awesome
I
too.
think
Here's a
probably a
here's a life
billion-dollar
changing tip
business.
for some people. If if
Mhm.
if you want to change your life today, if you can't find inventory, be very respectful. But you can go to dumpsters behind auto shops. I would even recommend, if you're feeling really nervous about it, talking to the guy who owns the auto shop. Today, I mean, 3 days ago, out of a dumpster, I got a side panel for a Range Rover for like your window and your things like
Mhm.
that. In used condition, it was out of the dumpster and it works perfectly. And I have it it's in my draft bank right now, I think for $87, and that was free. I mean, I had to spend gas to get there or whatever, but like you can go to like dumpster diving is really good, especially if you go to the right dumpsters. And like, dude, car part dumpsters are like we talked about earlier in the video. Car parts are amazing.
Another business idea, wear a GoPro doing it, and you're gonna get
Yep.
millions of views, because if you look on the niche within that dumpster diving resell, there's some channels that get millions of views doing that. So even if you only find one thing, there's another business opportunity. Same with the
Yep.
storage units too. it's really cool because storage units, people pass away, people don't pay for their storage unit. That product goes somewhere. And I know it's more competitive now, but that's just a great way to also make a video while you get your inventory as well. Because I know those get a lot of views. Um, I just been looking at, content business ideas, but yeah, no, that's beautiful. I love it. And then so if someone's struggling with slow sales in their business, they need to look inward.
Yeah.
What do you think that they should do to help speed things up? Should they just delete all their store and restart over? Do they need to start discounting items? What would be the first step to fix that slow sell problem?
Well, so I talk about this all the time. The algorithm for eBay is very important. It is. Like there's no question the importance of the algorithm, because if there was no algorithm, people would search for Logitech MX Master 3 mouse and not be able to find it because there's no software and algorithm behind it to put it in front of you, right? So obviously it's very important, but people overestimate the value of the algorithm because it's psychologically pleasing for them to say, "Oh, I only got 2 sales today. It's because eBay sucks. It's because the algorithm is against me. It's because whatever." But then on the other side, there are other people who are just on the side of like, listen, I'm not a victim. I don't care. Like, I just want to learn the algorithm as much as I can so I can optimize sales. And they spend more time trying to learn this infamous algorithm than they spend on learning about the customer on the other side of the screen that's actually buying the item. So, you know what they say, if you, I don't know the exact saying, but I heard someone say if you put pig on a lipstick, it's still ugly or something like that. If you're trying to sell a pig to someone who doesn't want a pig, putting lipstick on it, the algorithm isn't going to help, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, and there's some data to support this, but it's mainly just my own belief, the eBay algorithm is significantly more interested in the buyers than the sellers. It's best matched for the buyer, and part of that best match is coming from a reputable seller who has good metrics. But much like best match is not pairing your items. The algorithm's job isn't to give Bo or me or anyone else a certain amount of views. The only function of the algorithm is to make sure that when I want to buy something, it puts the item that I am most likely going to buy in front of me. And part of that is a good title and good photos and good seller metrics and good return policy and all that stuff. But everything after that, the delist, relist, the list every single day, the same amount of items every single day, drip your items every 15 minutes or hour, or only list this certain item, like list, if you're an everything seller, list 7 of the same category, then move on to the same category. Don't confuse the algorithm. Like the algorithm is so much smarter than we are. You can't confuse it. But anyway, I'm getting pretty ranty here. I don't even remember what the original question was, but
No, but you explained it good. Just like when people are struggling, there's a lot of things that people blame, basically,
yeah.
when you were going through them.
Oh, I remember the question. If your sales kind of suck right now, get better items and continuously learn from people that are better than you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's hard to internalize. But like there are people better than me at reselling, and I learn from them. You just got to be humble enough. And I'm not saying that you should watch me and that I'm better than you guys, but I might be. If you are humble enough to say, you know what, maybe this guy talking on YouTube is better at me than this, and maybe I should, with a lens and a filter, look at what he's saying and apply it and just keep trying to learn. But just
Yeah.
keep, like, I learned what to sell on eBay because I watched this guy named Osborne to Thrift every time he released a video, which wasn't very often, but every time he did, I'm like, oh sweet, cameras are dope. Oh, remotes are dope. Oh,
Mhm.
keyboards
Yeah.
are pretty good.
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy? He was definitely 4 years ago, I was watching his stuff. I was like, "Look, you can make money flipping printer heads."
Yep.
And you're like,
I talk
"What?"
to him from time to time. He lives the state right above
In
me. We're about 4 hours away. We haven't met in person yet.
uh,
Maybe will one day. He just says he's just not interested in making content.
nah, and
He
that's
still
I
he
mean,
still is reselling, and he likes to do a little bit of Instagram stuff here and there, but
Hmm.
YouTube just ain't it for
Yeah,
them.
you don't need to be a reseller and YouTube, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. Yeah, it's all about pointing inward. I do see like a lot of people, with that common question, like my sales are slow. Can you look at my store? What's going on? And it's like 9 times out of 10, it's like the items that they put in the store and spend all that time like taking photos and stuff, they're just like not good. Like
Yep.
this, and their justification is always like, well, I got it for $1 or it was
Or
free from
free.
my cousin.
Yep.
And it's like, but that's a great way to not only waste time, but when you do make a sale, you're gonna make what, $5? And it's like, is that worth your time? For me, no. Maybe like for practice, I would suggest selling stuff around the house that you're not using. But like when you get stuff from the bins for $1, but the item sucks, but you're like, but it was $1, doesn't mean
Hmm.
it's always worth listing. Um, but yeah, no, I love that. I always like to point inward versus outward as to why things aren't working for me. Maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Um, so there's a lot of talk with AI, and you mentioned some AI stuff earlier. Do you think that that's going to like be a big disruptor for people that resell, or do you think that it could play like an advantage for people that want to grow? Because I know there was a big AI Vero thing that went out. A lot of people got hit with it. Do you think it helps us or hurts us as business owners?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely yes. It
Yeah.
helps us and hurts us at the same time. And again, just like you were saying, if you look inward and adapt to your surroundings, it's going to be a positive for you. So whenever I like, there's a million ways that everything can go, but I like to think of when people talk about AI, everyone said that the internet was going to take over and completely change our lives, which it sure did, but it didn't do exactly what a lot of the doomsday sayers were saying. On the other side, Uber came in and completely wiped out New York taxi drivers, which was like hundreds of millions. It may have even been $1 billion industry, and all those guys literally lost their jobs. But they could just start driving for Uber, and everything would be okay. It's just
Right.
it's just different. But the guys that owned those taxis and that invested money into those taxis, and the guys that over leveraged, and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a lot of 60 of these taxis, and it's going to be on a loan with a 6% interest rate, but I'm cash flowing it because they're getting used. But now all of a sudden Uber comes in and like, oh, I'm $80,000 per day in the hole. I'm done. I can't do it. So it's important to understand that like AI could destroy our jobs. I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to be a taxi scenario, but I think it's going to enhance my my career, where it could destroy Benny in Omaha's career because he doesn't adapt to it.
Right.
So it's all about utilizing the tools in front of you and adapting. The people that want to do what was working 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago aren't going to be thriving in business in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and 20 years.
Yeah. I could see like examples. I do get emails every couple months about, hey, this new AI lister or something. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they're good right yet, but they will be better. Just like with AI
Yeah.
video generation a year ago, it was
That
terrible.
Will Smith
Now,
video.
yeah, yeah. And now that Will Smith video is like, wow, is that him? So same thing with like that with like listing services. You could hire like a VA, outsource a
Mm-hmm.
lister. Those people might not have jobs in 5 years or less because now AI has moved into that. Same thing with
Yeah.
like graphic design, which is still has a place, but I think it's going to be less and less common because now you could just type a prompt into ChatGPT, Mid Journey, and get a nice, graphic, whatever. So I see it does disrupt, but I think if you could use it for the next opportunity, whether it's sourcing or gathering data, it's going to be an advantage for a lot of business owners. The ones that fail to adapt will be lost. Just like when
Yeah.
YouTube came out, it's like the businesses that are on YouTube are thriving. The businesses that aren't on YouTube are still sending out mailers and they have radio ads, which are still okay, just not as effective as producing free content.
So I'm glad you said that, because still okay if you're a prideful person is enough to keep you going. I've been on eBay for 5 years, 15 years, 23 years, 29 years, and eBay's been around for 29 years actually. We eBay was eBay became a company, I think, like 19 days before I was born. So that's pretty dope. Anyway,
Nice.
it's the guys and gals that say, well, this was working 7 years ago. This was working 9 years ago. This was working 21 years ago, whatever it is. And it's still working-ish today. So I'm just going to list more, or I'm just going to call eBay and talk to them more, or I'm just going to do all these other things more. And it's like, no, man, like just adapt a little bit, change up your sourcing, change up what you're listing, change up the items that you're willing to list, and you'll make more money. But it's hard because radio ads still work. Like I'm a millennial and I listen to YouTube or Spotify in my car every day. And then one day I just happened to listen to the radio, and I listened to an ad, and I actually called that business and used them. It still works every once in a while, but it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over again in an ever-changing world. The world is changing as fast as it's ever changed, and if you think you're gonna get the same results that you got last year, especially when you're a reseller in clothing, styles change, trends change, brands change. What I sold 4 years ago, I don't even pick up 9 out of the 10 items that I used to pick up. So,
Yep.
yeah, and that's why you gotta have the hunger for learning. Like you gotta be like a vacuum and listen to the people that are also adapting to change. um, and that's inevitable. Change is constant, right? What I mean, speaking of change, what reselling trend that happened this year caught you off guard, where you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming?
So I don't really, I mean, the emergence of district was actually pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's a lot of value in being an everything seller. I think there's a lot of value in being a niche seller. And district is cool because it allows you to be an everything seller and connect with those niche sellers, or it allows you to be that niche seller and connect with those everything sellers. What I mean is, if you buy everything, if you sell everything, but there's a couple of categories that you just hate selling, now you can continue to buy those things and you can just sell them in lots on Shop Commons, or you can, or if you hate glass, you can go on to knickknacks and still just move your glass, especially if you're getting for super cheap. You can move it at a cheaper rate so someone else can make some money or a hobbyist can collect it. And then if you are a niche seller and you're selling clothing and you just hate the idea of electronics, but then someone says, hey man, I have 1,000 cameras for you that I'll sell them to you for $1,000, a dollar each. Even if they're all broken, you'd be stupid to say no to that. But if you are really like, there's a lot of people out there that like, I only sell clothing. Like I meet them all the time in thrift stores. People will come to me and they're like, hey, I know that you sell electronics. That's outside of my wheelhouse. They really subscribe to like the niche selling, like the tech and sports and data refinement model. So they're like, here's a few $1,000s for free. And I say, thank you. But now you can go onto like Shop Commons and say, oh, sweet, let me sell these cameras for $5 or $7 a piece, where Jake can still buy them and sell them for $50 to $80 a piece, and everyone makes money. So that was an emergence that I didn't, that kind of caught me off guard. And then one that caught me off guard personally, all throughout my eBay business, I just every once in a while I'll have this earth-shattering moment in an item. So I first started reselling and I watched a lot of Kevin and Josh and Chris, and I'm just seeing all these items. And then all of a sudden one day I just found a remote that I looked up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't been selling remotes this whole time. A few months after that, I found sunglasses. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't been selling sunglasses the whole time. A few months after that, hair curling irons. I'm like, oh my gosh. Recently this year, it's watches. I am making so much money with watches, selling them individually, selling them in lots, selling them on. I just sold a Rolex watch that I got. It's different from the one that I showed you guys earlier.
Hmm.
I got a Rolex watch in a lot off of eBay. It was 180 watches for $600. In there was a ton of Gucci watches and Chanel watches. I have some of them being authenticated right now. I should have made a video about it. Maybe I will later. But in there had a Rolex watch, and I went to a watch Facebook group, and I didn't have to pay any fees. I just posted it on the Facebook group, and someone flew out here and bought a watch from me for $6,000. It was great, So it's like watches are awesome, and you're not gonna find Rolexes every day. But I sell Gruen watches for $18.87 plus shipping every single day. I sell Timex watches for $24 plus shipping every single day.
Mhm.
And yeah, watches for me was a little earth shattering for sure.
Yeah. So for a cost of goods of like $5, $4, $5.
Yeah. No, honestly, I'm getting so many lots off of eBay. Like, I just got 120 watches for $148. And so,
That's unreal.
dollars,
I mean, even if you sold them
dollar
at
off
a
that.
yeah,
Yeah, and
$2
I could
each.
literally just take that lot, put it on Shop Commons for $400, and someone would buy it the second I listed it. And now I just made $250, but you're gonna
Yeah.
make a few thousand off of this one for
Yeah.
sure.
So what you're doing is extracting the value by individually listing them, 70% of that, and then whatever's kind of like not really worth, but maybe worth it to someone else, you
Yeah.
wholesale the remainder.
So I want to go back a little bit to a topic we were talking about. We didn't say this term, but we were kind of talking about them, the volume sellers. There is a ton of value in volume selling. And like, if you do it correctly, I don't recommend volume selling for almost anyone. And people always think that I hate volume sellers, or I think that volume sellers are idiots. And I don't believe that, because there are some really good volume selling business models. If you get all of your inventory for free or close to free, and you do make $5 to $7 per item, and you have your processes to where you can do hundreds per day, thousands per day, and you actually build that business and you do it correctly, it's amazing. The average person doesn't know how to do that, and the average person will never have the time or the capacity to do that. And so that's why I always say focus on sell through, focus on sell through, focus on sell through. But what I do is I take the 70% that have a good enough sell through rate and a good enough sales price, and I list it individually. And then the other 30%, half of it, so 15 overall percent, can be listed individually. It's just going to take longer to sell. And then the other half, the other 15%, is great for volume sellers. It's like, hey, I'm not going to make a ton of money on this, but I can get my store up another couple hundred or a couple thousand. So that's what I do on eBay and Shop Commons with that other 30%, is I get it to someone who, like, a lot of people that buy from me are flea market vendors. They'll just take my glasses for 50 cents to $1.85 each, and then just sell them at flea markets for $1 or $2 or $3 and triple their money, stuff like that.
I really think, we all start as like non-volume sellers because it takes a little bit to like not only
Yeah.
find like sources, but to get good at, figuring out profit margin and stuff that's going to be worth your time. But I think like that next step to break through that 7-figure mark, which you see a lot of people on Whatnot and the live selling, they're not waiting for the whole money. Like they're selling $600
Mhm.
jackets for $50, but they're selling 100 of them a day. So it's like, I think that this is just my opinion, my belief. I think that next step to like really breaking through the 7-figure, 8-figure mark is volume selling, because if you look at things like ThreadUp, the Real, Goodwill, big, huge corporations that are doing multi-millions of dollars a year, like they're not like Goodwill has their little website thing that's nice and all, but like 99% of their stuff is volume. Like get it
Yeah.
out of here. The Goodwill bins is volume. So it's like, it's cool because we live in a country that's just built on waste. So it's like, as you learn like what volume selling is and you get connections through flea markets or whatever, I think that next step is like, let's learn about volume selling. You can still sell individual,
And,
all the money, but
and I would say that eBay isn't really for volume selling.
yeah.
9 years ago, 25 years ago, 8 years ago, however far back you want to go, volume stores were probably the most popular. Hey, I'm going to buy 8,000 CDs for $80, cost of goods of a penny, and then sell them at a shipped price where I make 38 cents. Sometimes I make $4, whatever it is, a pretty low amount. And then just have this huge tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of items store. But if you're just a person reselling, hopping on YouTube, that's not going to work for you. And even today, that's like you said, live selling on Whatnot. Get your inventory for free or close to free. Sell it for a $5 profit, $8 profit, even a $40 profit, depending on the item, and just get it moving. But too many people want to just list $78.50 baseball cards a day, and or CDs or what have you, and
Mhm.
just complain. It
Maybe
sucks.
there's
Really
like a
tough.
mindset thing where people are like, I want all of the money. Like maybe
Yeah.
they're just like the mindset of like this goes, like the garage sale people. No, that sells for 75 on eBay. It's like, yeah, no one's gonna buy that.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, maybe it could be like a mindset issue where people are kind of have that pride of like, you know, I can get more money. And I've done that so many times on eBay where I've rejected offers, of I had it for 80 bucks, someone offered 30, I denied it, and that item I still have 2 years later.
Yep.
It's like,
And sometimes 2 years later, it's only worth $24.
get
Now you
out of the
can't even
market.
sell it at 30.
Yay. So yeah, I
Well,
don't
what's
know.
a what's a low ball offer for you?
If I had something like listed for 50 and someone offered
Yep.
25 and it had like a decent sell-through rate, I think and I could find that item again, I would consider making taking the 25 because if my cost
Hmm.
of goods is like $1 to $5, I mean, I'm looking at like how fast it's sold and I could just go out and buy another one of those items. It really depends on like if it's rare and I can't find it
Yep.
again, I'll hold out for more of the money. But if it's a common item, and most clothing's common, like most
Yeah.
clothing's common, I'm gonna be like, let's go, let's do the deal. But
Yeah.
that's different for
I,
most.
I think like back to I think the first or second question, like if your sales suck, how can you like what would you do? Like I think a lot man, again, I love this YouTube audience so much. I love humans so much. And I understand that we all kind of suck, man. We all are just prideful, emotional beings that look out for ourselves, and then we get mad when other people aren't looking out for us. Sucks. Whatever. I think the more prideful you are in your systems, the less money you're going to make.
Mhm.
And I think people are just like, oh, I know that this is worth 19.95. I'm not going to accept an offer for anything less than 17.49. That's like my cutoff. It's
Mhm.
like if you accepted $14 offers, you'd be a millionaire in 2 years instead of 39 at
Yep.
your current rate. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think if you want to make more money, like accept more offers. I don't like if I have an item for 50, I liked your example. If I have an item for 50 and someone offers half of that, 25, I'm not going to outright accept that usually. I'm going to counter or I'm going to try to talk to them, but I accept a lot of 50% off offers eventually. Like
Mhm.
I accept more 50% off offers than the average reseller for sure. Just
Mhm.
because, bro, I got this watch for $4. It's worth 120. Someone offered me 60. Okay, I'm gonna offer like 99. Man, they're stuck at 60. All right, let me try 85. Oh, man, they're stuck at 60. I probably wouldn't give them to it on that, but if they like gave a little wiggle room and gave me 10 more bucks, I'd probably sell it for 70.
Mhm. Yeah.
I got it for a
Yeah.
dollar.
Exactly. It all goes back to like how hard was it to find that item? Can you find it
Mm-hmm.
again? And how long have you had that item? If you've had it for 2 years, but it's a $500 jacket, someone offers you 250. I'm gonna take it because it's
Oh
been
yeah.
listed for 2 years. Come on now, you know. I got an interesting comment the other day. Interesting. I want your take on it. Whatnot resellers are ruining it for all resellers.
Man, it's
They're
just coming
ruining
back
it
to
all.
that. It's just coming back to that emotional, prideful, selfish human that we are. So basic biology is do what you need to do to survive. And man, we gotta. I live by an Air Force base, so this is great.
Oh,
Hopefully,
nice. No,
it'll
you're
be pretty
taking
loud.
off.
But
You're flying right now. Yeah, it was just thought that, and then like my comment underneath it, it said, "That's business. Get used to it."
yeah, no.
I
So
was
like
like,
that.
"That's
That
perfect."
is like that's the answer because people are like, oh man, these whatnot resellers are ruining it for other resellers. It's like, no, you are ruining it for yourself for not adapting or for not getting around that. Because like that example that I just said, I have a $120 watch. I end up selling it for $70. Now everyone else that has it listed for over the $70 is like, you ruined the market. It's like, no, I won. You're losing. You lost because I got the sale. And they're gonna continue to lose because I know what I have. And it's like, yeah, sure. I got the
Yeah.
sale and you didn't, and you never know when the next purchase is gonna come.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, like saying that, like Uber drivers ruined the taxi market and the taxi market got over it. Some
Yeah.
people lost their livelihood over it and other
Mhm.
people adapted and
Yeah.
went to Uber or decided to do a completely different path in life.
Yeah. It's funny, the biggest taxi company owns no taxis. The biggest
Yep.
hotel market owns no hotels. Who would have
Biggest
thought, guys?
biggest Netflix owns. I mean, now they actually own movies, but for a
Yeah.
while they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember getting them in the mail? That was
Uh-huh.
good times. And Blockbuster, they used to mail out DVDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. Things change, y'all, and really, I'm always a big believer. Instead of being a victim of change, going like, why aren't things working? Like, initiate change. Like, maybe make some plans to make some changes so you can get ahead of it rather than behind it. Don't be like
Mhm.
that business that failed to get on YouTube and then complain that they don't have business. So initiate the change. Maybe you might have to start listing on other platforms, start running things on Facebook Marketplace, do a live sell, a show every week or something. Who knows? I have no idea. I know my life's changed when I started to open up my mind with live selling. I hated on it for since it existed. I don't want to sell women's clothes. I don't want to sell stuff for $1. There's no money in it. And then completely 180, you go, oh, I tried it. Hmm. It's like when we get our kids to eat their vegetables and they say they don't like it, but they haven't tried it. And then it ends up being their favorite thing ever. So it's like, come on, guys, don't act childish. Try it at least once. Come on now. Um, so good. We went over the trends. We went over some perspectives. Now I want to go a little bit more into your business. Is there something that
Right.
you used to pick up, maybe
Oh
even
yeah.
earlier this year, that you just are running from now? Could be golf clubs, bowling balls, whatever. What is it? All right. So what's something that you used to pick up that you're just like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore?
So I make a lot of. Geez, another jet's going by. I make a lot of engagement bait satire videos on TikTok.
I
For
love it.
example, I'll say, "Stop buying Funko Pops; they're worthless," and I get the same comment hundreds of times every video. Well, you just have. There's plenty of Funko Pops that sell for really good money. You just have to know what you're looking for. And then sometimes I'll respond to that comment and I'll say, "Congratulations, that is our job. That is true across all categories. You have to find the actual items that are in demand and that are actually valuable, and list and sell those items."
Yeah.
So if you just like, I poop on CDs all the time. Like, man, CD sellers are it. Like, I don't say they're idiots, but I'm like, stop selling CDs. There's no
Yep.
money in them. I make thousands of dollars a year on CDs because I pick up the rap albums that were solo produced worth $80 because you can't find them anywhere. And I pass on the Frank Sinatra Greatest Hits CD because there's 70,000 listed and 17 sold. you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So there's a ton of, like, I don't think I'd ever give up on like categories. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm just not gonna look for remotes anymore. I'm not gonna look for CDs anymore. But there are individual items. One that I bring up all the time is the Google Nest. It's just
Yeah.
a little
Yep.
the Wi-Fi extender.
Mhm.
When I first started reselling, those sold for $40 to $60. 200 listed, 800 sold. Nowadays they sell for $15 free
Yep.
shipping.
Yep.
Still 200 sold, but 900 listed, 1100
Mhm.
listed. So
Yeah. So seasonality when it comes to certain things. Maybe you don't pick it up this year, but maybe in a year or two, you'll be back on top of it.
yeah,
Yeah, and I enjoy those funny videos because it gives me a chuckle because I understand the
yeah.
thought process behind it. But I think you did one with like Beanie Babies one time, and people went crazy because
The
they're
the the
diehard
hack
Beanie
the
Babies.
hack is to say a few things that are completely satire and then mix in some things that aren't. So I'll be like, oh, camera, like no one uses cameras anymore. Stop putting them out thrift stores. We all have iPhones. Cameras sell extremely well. So that's satire. Stop putting out massagers. That's gross. No one wants to use a, a massager that someone's already used who knows where, but those sell extremely well.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, but mugs? Oh yeah, pick up every mug you see. And so then it like tricks people, and it's like, wait, what's satire? What isn't? And they watch the whole video and they comment, and then it goes out to more people. It's funny.
Yep. Yeah. That's that power of social media for sure. So going off of that, 50,000 followers on Instagram, 50,000 subs on YouTube, 69,000 followers on TikTok, 81,000 on Facebook. Has social media, because I get this all the time. Oh, you're selling to your social media on
Uh-huh.
eBay. They're coming in buying your stuff. Um, how does that correlate? Because I know maybe that could just be a completely separate business for you. Does it affect your resale business any way, or are you monetizing the traffic? What does that look like?
Well, side note, I have 81,000 followers on Facebook, but I made a video that had TikTok approved music, but not Facebook approved music. And I put that video out on all the platforms, and it demonetized my Facebook account 168 days ago. And I got everything cleared up, and my account is in good standing. It's recommendable. There's no blemishes on it whatsoever, but I'm still not monetized. And I've talked with Facebook customer service about 50 times in the last 168 days, and there's just nothing that can be done. So actually, last night I started a JRide Picks Facebook,
Yeah, I saw that.
and I don't know what I'm gonna do with the JRide. Like it's like I'll still, I don't know. Like it's still valuable because it has
Mhm.
80,000 followers and I can do things with it, but I'm not monetized on it. So I started over on a new one. So if anyone wants to follow me on Facebook on JRide Picks, really
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, with so like people always dog on Kevin, the Commonwealth picker, for this, and I disagree with the sentiment of what people say, but there is also like some truth behind it because he sells really like viewer audience type of items. You know, like a
Right.
lot of people really like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Mhm.
especially the people watching people thrifting and going at yard sales looking for treasure. Oh, I remember having that Teenage Mutant Turtle. I'll just buy it from Kevin. Now I can have this connection with Kevin and I can get the item that I didn't know that I wanted until I saw it. Okay. But I don't sell those items. I sell like remote controls. I guess you could say like my eyeglass frames and watches and things like that people could like want and maybe go to my store and buy them, but like I just don't really sell a ton of, like I sell a lot of parts and electronics that viewers aren't necessarily looking for.
No.
But I did like just on random stuff, I'll make YouTube or Facebook reels.
Mhm.
I found this like vintage Swiss cookie maker,
Mhm.
and I made a video about it. I listed it for $350 on eBay, and then someone messaged me on Facebook, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want that! I'll Venmo you $350 for it. Send it to this address." So that happens from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's
yeah, I don't make a ton more money on reselling through TikTok through content, but
mhm.
I make a ton of money off of the content itself. But it doesn't help me like it doesn't make me a better reseller or make me more money in my reselling business.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, just see that common comment that you're just selling to your audience because you're on YouTube, you're making all the money. And I'm like, I think maybe 5 times I've ever sold on eBay to a customer, to a person that's
Yeah.
watched the video. Well, let's deep dive some numbers.
Yeah.
You've been
I love
selling
numbers.
a lot of good stuff lately. I've been watching the Instagram. What does your numbers look like last year versus this year? Did you hit your goal that you wanted to hit, or
Yeah, so the last few years of my life, I've been really interested in entrepreneurship and money. Hasn't been my god or anything, but like it's been something that I've been super interested in and trying to grow. And it's like one of the few things that I think about and care about. And then this year, so every New Year's, my wife and I we go rent a Airbnb or a hotel at a ski location, and then we go snowboarding, and then we enjoy New Year's just the two of us in a cabin, and we write. So I'm really big on visions, goals, and plans. Everyone thinks that those three are like all the same thing, but they're very different things. And once you understand that, you can achieve your goals much more efficiently. We have a yearly vision every year, and this year my vision was live a balanced life. So this year, I made less money than last year on reselling, but with the content and with the real estate and other things that I do, we made more money this year than last year. But I was working. I really enjoy work. I genuinely love working. I was working maybe 80 hours a week last year, and now this year I work like still 60, which is a ton, but it's 20 hours less. And so my revenue on eBay is down 25% this year from last year. But I also only sold on eBay for a few months out of the year last year. Now I started cross listing to multiple platforms. So I think the reselling on the platforms is about the same. I might be up like 2 or 3%. But this next year, I'm gonna go up 50%, I guess, 100%. But yeah, the numbers. So people usually ask that from like a algorithmic and economic standpoint, like, oh, are sales down?
Yeah.
My sales are down on eBay because I'm doing less on eBay, and I'm focusing more on my family and my spiritual side and my health side and all of this. But yeah, I'm making the same amount of money per hour that I put into businesses.
Yeah.
But I'm making less money in my reselling business because I'm putting less time in it.
Do you think it's because you started to replace, maybe listing more on eBay with higher like income producing activities like content or other business ventures? Like it's enabled you to maybe work a little less in your resale business.
Yeah. So I don't know, like I'm like I just don't really like things. I don't have a lot of things.
Yep.
I'm not super hung up on material possessions or money.
Mhm.
So like I have enough that my wife and I could retire today and it would be pretty cool. Like even for the next few 40, 50, 60 years, but I like working, so we continue to work. But yeah, it's gotten to a point now where it's just like I would much rather go golfing, help someone clean out their garage, have a conversation with a teenager that is really struggling in life, and then take my dog for a walk, than make $3,500 in a day, you know?
Yeah.
So like my life is shifting a little bit to where I'm just trying to live a much more well-rounded life. I had a hernia surgery, so I couldn't lift and work out. And I didn't get my hernia taken care of for over a year. So there was like 18 months where I couldn't work out. And now I'm able to work out again. And so I'm really, really invested. Like I wear an Aura ring, it tracks my sleep, and I,
Mhm.
go to the gym every single morning. And I'm just more focused on, I don't know, I feel much more wealthy this year than last year,
Yeah.
even if I end up making a little bit less money.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a balance to it, but the people that like really want a balanced life, there's a season where you need to put in the work, where it may
Yeah.
not seem so balanced because you're building something,
Oh yeah.
and then as your family grows, you're gonna see that I can make $3,500 today, or I can actually be involved with my kid's life,
Yep.
and you hear it
I'm
all the
super
time
excited for
too.
that.
Is like people wish that they had actually like maybe taken an extra day off to actually be with their family, you know?
Mhm.
And it's like, it's the work whole thing 9 to 5 is kind of really messed up because a lot of the income that people make goes to paying mortgage and rent. And it's just really funny. I've always hated that idea of that I'm away from my home paying for a home that I'm never in, and
Yep.
it's like, there's a point to where it's like something's wrong with this. I got to change that. Which is why I really value working from home. But um, yeah, I love that. There's always a season of sacrifice when you're an entrepreneur because you're building
Yep.
something. You're building something. With the AI space, it's unreal. There's literally like a 17-year-old locked in his parents' basement, figuring out what software as a service program to build, but he doesn't eat, sleep, or do anything for 2 weeks straight. But yet that business now produces $10 million of
Mhm.
monthly recurring revenue now. So there's the opportunity now more than ever to capitalize on your idea is now, but also it's going to take you can't just work on it haphazardly. It's like going to take a grind to it, right? um Beautiful time to
I
be
uh
alive.
I hope this doesn't come across as like arrogant. I hope it's, a little inspiring. But you know how a lot of social media influencers will say like, oh yeah, you're one video away from changing your life. You're like
Yeah,
you're a 15-second video away from like just like
like a
doing
lottery
whatever
ticket.
you want, right? So I mean, it sounds like you follow my content relatively closely. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's this app Deal Soldier
Yeah.
that yeah, you can save money on retail items and then flip them on eBay and Amazon. I had that 15-second video where I went to TJ Maxx and I bought Care Bear mugs, and it had a link to that software, and that 15 seconds changed my life. Like we're taken care of off of that video.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it, like one really positive, awesome decision can really change things. So that had an affiliate link in it. It got thousands and thousands of signups, and we're chilling. It was
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So like do just like seek out those opportunities that can really change your life, and then just be humble, work really hard every single day, and just wait for it to happen.
And I think it goes to with hand in hand with promoting things that actually you like. This is a good product. Like I've
Yeah.
looked at Deal Soldier, and if you're either a consumer or a reseller, like you're gonna save a ton of money. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
things in there like unreal, like TVs for $50 that are four hundred
Yeah,
fifty
it's
dollars.
wild.
Like you
Uh-huh.
gotta get on top of it, and it's not every day, but um, that's a great resource. I mean, but there's a difference between promoting something like that and then something like, that you don't believe in, where it's like you can feel like scammy, like
Yeah.
just any product out there. You're like, yeah, try this, and you don't even use it. It's like you're trying to sell gold and you ain't wearing none. It's like there's something wrong with that. So no, 100%, and it goes back with like your values, your belief, and your integrity too. Is like, do you value relationships more or do you value money more?
Hmm.
So I love hearing that. And yeah, it's like winning the lottery. You might be one video away from your life changing, and you might be, one ticket away from your life changing. But also, there's a big part of that they don't talk about is managing the virality, managing the abundance of subscribers. Now you have a ton, you know, or now you got a ton of money. It's like you better become a millionaire real quick, or
Well,
else you're gonna lose the
and,
money.
and you might need to edit this part real quick too, but the amount of people that have told me to kill myself because I bought 4 Care Bear mugs and sold them for 8x, like, oh my gosh, like you have to be prepared for that too. If you go viral for talking about Jesus, for building wells in Africa, for giving money to strangers, for anything,
Unreal.
you will people will ridicule you
Yeah.
as hard as they can because they
Yep.
don't. It's weird. Like I know that LeBron James is a real actual person, but he actually isn't in my reality. I just see him on TV, and I know that he's a man that has feelings and has a family and all that stuff. But like, he really actually isn't in my reality. And if I was a bad person, I could have the tendency to just like say mean, terrible, horrible things about him, which
Yeah.
people do every single second of our existence. And when you go viral, people do that to you. It's
Oh,
it's wild.
100%. And I'm sure you get the comment of you're stealing from the poor.
Oh, all the time.
That's
Yeah.
like that's a comment that's not even on reselling channels. You're stealing from the poor. It's like a cooking video. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I think those people are just out there. But yeah, you're right. There's something about social media and having thick skin. And Gary Vee, I know you've heard this from him, is like, those are critics criticizing. Why? Because they ain't playing the game. They're not
Yeah.
playing the game you're playing. And if you could change one person's life and get a million hate comments, it's worth it because that one life is changed, and maybe that trickles down generations. But yeah, I mean, come on now. What people that have done amazing things have never got hated on, and they're like, what was the? It's like when Jesus walked the earth, people didn't even see Jesus in Jesus. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just funny because like for as you're seeing something right in front of you, and you still don't believe it. But yeah, that's just an example. But I hear you on that. You better, if you're doing social media. Yeah, I don't even have comments go to, like, you can just comment. I turn off all the notifications, so I don't even know when I get
Yeah.
comments. Um, but I do read them, and I just laugh, move on. Just like I interviewed Wayne, K-Way Shop. He's the same thing. He's like, just
Uh-huh.
don't give him a minute. Just move on, you know? Um, well, I love that. And you've grown quite a bit. I mean, I think 2 years ago, you've been on 2 years now doing content, or a year and a half. So you got to be able to manage the emotions that come with reselling
Oh yeah,
content.
for sure.
Um, so now going back to, because I know a lot of the audience is beginner resellers.
Yeah.
What do beginner resellers do that end up being like the most costly mistakes? Like, I don't know. We kind of touched on it earlier, but maybe you have a different perspective.
There's a lot of things, and that's the coolest thing. Again, it comes back to like being the best version of yourself. Because if you, I talk about this a lot, but I'm going to throw this out there again. Um, society has it all wrong. If I sit here and I say that you are intelligent and you are good at your job and you're a handsome fellow, I'm considered a great person for saying that about you. But the second that I say I'm an intelligent person, I'm good at my job, I'm a handsome feller, I'm considered arrogant and cocky, and I should hate myself for that. I should hate myself for loving myself. That's arrogant to talk highly of yourself. You're so, and so
Yeah.
we're trained to not love ourselves. Like it's
No,
inherent. It's
100%.
like the second that you are, and like I think society's okay with us being proud of ourselves in moments, but the second that we're like, I'm good at what I do, you're arrogant. And so it teaches us to never actually be comfortable with who we are.
Yeah.
But if you can learn to love yourself, when you make the mistakes, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Like I'm still a valued person. I'm still a good business owner. I'm just going to learn from this. But when you hate yourself, and when you hate eBay, and when you hate everything, and you hate the government, and you hate the you you just you hate everyone in the gas station because they are there to make your life worse and
Yeah.
steal your car or whatever. It's really hard to make those mistakes and not hate yourself. But if you love yourself, then those mistakes will just eventually turn into 6 figures, 7 figures,
Right.
if you want 8 figures, whatever it is that you want. But
Right.
you're gonna make. I think the biggest mistake that people make is being too hard on themselves for their mistakes, and then on
Right.
the other side, not being hard enough on themselves and being like, it's eBay's fault. It's
Yeah.
mistakes are the most important. I just kind of had an aha moment that your mistakes are the most important factor of your business.
Yep.
It's just how you actually use them.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes back to the saying, it's not what happens to you that matters, it's what you do about what happens to you. I think
Yeah.
people are just so like, not only, don't love themselves, but they're just got the blame for the reasons why things aren't working out. And I know you believe the same thing, and a lot of people on the channel do also believe the same thing. You guys don't need to believe what I believe, but I believe to love your neighbor as yourself. And in the original translation, it's as yourself, meaning to like the same measure and degree as you love yourself. So it is really hard to love someone as yourself if you don't love yourself, right? Like I can't love you if I don't love me. So how can I love my neighbor if I don't love
But the
me?
society teaches you have
So
to love your neighbor, but you can't love yourself in the process, and so it
yeah.
just doesn't work. Society's dumb.
Yeah, I can't. It can be manufactured love. Like there's different
Yeah,
types of love, but the agape love is to love without expecting anything in return, like the
yeah.
true essence of love. There's like brotherly love, friendly
I
love, but
love you.
the true love is that agape, like I
Someone
love
read the
you
New
and I don't
Testament
know who love back.
Arabic deep dive language Bible. Good job.
Yeah. There we go, there we go. Oh, no, this was just from listening to different sermons in the past, but I've always, like,
Yeah,
resonated with that as, like,
it's good
I
stuff.
because I never did, guys. I never used to love myself like I do now, and just
Yeah,
the way things have changed with not only having a family, but my relationships have gotten better because, like, I actually love myself so I can love people for who they are, and that's the beautiful thing is everyone's different. The hardest thing in life is to love someone that's different than you. That's the hardest
yeah.
thing, the different opinions and to not get offended. It's like everyone's an OG and beautiful in their own way. So I love that. But yeah, be people watching, you don't need to believe what I believe. Take that with whatever you want, but um, you'll hear on this channel my values, what I stand by.
Yeah,
So
no. So like people will watch my channel and think that, I'm just in it for the views and the money. and I'm just in it to hear myself talk. And then people will say the same thing about like tech and sports, for example. Oh, he's just, trying to get people to his mentorship group so he can charge people for information. It's like, maybe he's doing that, maybe he's not. Just understand that there are people out there that would rather help other people make $10,000 than have $10 million themselves. Like I truly would rather help someone make 10,000. If I could help thousands of people make $10,000, that would be much better than I would get much more joy from that than making $10 million myself.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
you hop on TikTok and Facebook, and Mark Cuban gets on and he says, if anyone is telling you do what I did and you'll make money, they're lying to you and just getting you to buy their course. It's like, no, man, there are people out there that
Yeah.
genuinely just want to
Yeah.
help other people. There really are.
Right, right. And that's the funny thing is you hear pretty often, "Oh, do you see, how many people are in this group? They're making X amount of money."
Yeah.
And at the same time, the person that's doing that group or whatever, that money is nothing to them.
Yeah.
60,000 a month, they're making 10 million a month. 60,000 a month is nothing. So you
Yeah.
got to keep that in mind is that, that person probably has other things going on. Um, like for example, there's real estate, a lot of people that sell courses, and most of the people make their money selling the courses. But there
Selling
are
courses.
people out there that actually have real estate, and charging $10,000 per sign up is literally nothing. Like that's
Yeah.
not a lot of money. So yeah, but be aware, you got to make sure you do some research before you go signing up for something. But yeah, you really know a person cares about what they do when not only people are getting value of it, but that's not their only source of income. They got
Yeah.
other businesses, and they're like, yeah, this is, I set up a program here because I actually care about helping people. Um, I love that. I love it. Um, so, and I think I might have asked this earlier, but this is really common. But the whole saturation thing, I think it's really just a mindset thing. But maybe you can encourage people who have that mindset of, I don't want to try this because it's saturated. And maybe it is, but maybe is that more of just a mindset issue? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Once again, it comes back to you just got to be the best version of yourself. I am the only person that can put me out of business. Like I even said, like sometimes in a like I'll admit it, I'll say it in a pretty arrogant way, like try to put me out of business. You can't. Like no one, like I get up here on YouTube and I tell hundreds of thousands of people, hey, I make a ton of money from selling remotes, and you can too.
Hmm.
And you can't stop me from selling remotes. You can saturate the remote market all you think you can, and I will still sell remotes and I will still make money. Like I haven't been, I don't know, I'm still here today. I keep selling stuff and I keep finding new stuff to sell and I keep finding old stuff to sell. And you just find demand and you give value and you give value to the need and you will always make money.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, for sure. Like Travis Matthew medium gray polo could have sold that 3 years ago for $24.87 plus shipping. I do that all the time. Now you're going to sell that for $16 shipped, and it's going to take 18 months to sell.
Yep.
Yeah, there is actual saturation, but like again, I truly do love people. I want you guys to make more money because of me. Like it would be awesome if you heard me say something or were motivated by me and you made more money. That would freaking be awesome to me. But you got to understand that you are killing yourself if you say, oh, whatnot sellers ruined it for me. Oh, this market is saturated because J Ride Flips started talking about it, or oh, Tech and Sports ruined Tommy Bahama for everybody. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, and actually go back to one thing he said, but I'll compare it to this is like when people watch your videos, for example, and they say, "Well, why would you give away all the secrets?" It's because people are inherently like lazy. Like there's probably maybe 10 people that watch your video, 10,000 views that are actually going to take some steps to actually putting into action what you're teaching, and everyone else is just going to comment and hate, and I kind of go back and then Tech and Sports said the same thing. He's like, I'm teaching all these people to do exactly what I'm doing. Why isn't my business gone down? I think he
Yeah.
said somewhere where his business like 10x after he started teaching people to do exactly what he did. So it's like your business grew as a result. So I don't know. There's something with that. I think it really is a mindset thing. Like, don't tell your secrets. I mean, Alex Hermosi has free courses, gives his book away for free. I mean, yeah, he's probably keeping a few things close to the chest, but it really comes down to just a few people want to actually work hard.
The things
Like,
that
people
he's
are lazy.
keeping close to the chest are things that I hate to say this, but it's things that other people just can't comprehend. So
Yep.
it's like, and this is gonna, I hope this doesn't make me sound super arrogant, but like I make a lot of money buying things off of eBay and selling them back on eBay. And I have seven, maybe not seven, like 4 or 5 videos teaching people how to do it step by step. But even with that step by step instructions, it's just really hard. Like it's really hard to actually learn that skill and then to put in the time to develop it and then to actually get good at it. And people like 10,000 people will watch a video, maybe 100 will apply what's being taught. All of those 100 that try it, it's too hard out of the gates. So 87 immediately give up. Those next 13, 7 more of them try it for 9 or 10 days and then they give up. And then it's like 5 or 6 that are like, oh my gosh, J Flips changed my life. I just bought $10,000 in inventory off of eBay this last month, and I've made $148,000. Wow,
Yep.
it's just Alex Ramosi can tell you. Oh yeah, all you have to do is like sell one yacht for $18 million and take a commission of 4%. Now you're a millionaire. Here are the steps to do that, and it's like, wow, you lost me at step 16. And there's 19 more steps. Like you couldn't give it to me if you wanted to because I'm just not there in intelligence wise or experience wise.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean,
Buying off of eBay and reselling on eBay is extremely difficult, just so you guys know. But it's
yeah,
it's it's simple, but it's very difficult.
yeah. For most, it comes down to like what you're saying. Just invest a little bit of time into becoming a better person. Like, read
Yeah.
books. Like, it's a funny comment. People go, "Man, where'd you learn that?" And you just go, "In a book I read last year," and they're like,
7 Habits for
"Wow."
Highly Effective Human Beings by Stephen R.
Yeah.
Covey. That's where I learned
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's a good one, and it's a funny thing because it's just, like, it's such a funny comment. It's like, "Where did you learn that?" It's like, "I read it in a book 6 months ago," and they're like, "Wow, that's amazing." And it's like, yeah. It's funny, there's books about being a good business owner, and we don't read them, and we complain. There's books about how to be a better husband, and we complain, and we don't read them. There's books about how to be good at anything, and we complain and we don't read them.
But then
We
there's
watch
a
Netflix.
YouTube video about how to hack the algorithm with delist relist, and when
Oh,
that doesn't work,
that's
we
fire.
also complain.
Yeah, that's fire. That's good. A good book I'm reading now. This one. Maybe you've read it, but Your Next Five Moves by Patrick
Oh,
Bet David. It's a
yeah.
good one. He's a great story. Immigrant from Iran, and
Yep.
just how his mindset changed and his life changed. Just very basic. But it's really interesting to read books from people that have not only a book, good biography, but you could take some of the things that they've done and be like, hey, I'll apply that too. Like the simple book Think and Grow Rich. Like everyone knows that book.
Yep.
There's so many good principles in there that you can apply that will change your life. And it's really for my first 25 years of my life is I just lacked information. I didn't know anything. So therefore I'm going to get what I know. And if I know nothing and I pass that down to my kids, they're going to be as smart as me. They're going to know nothing. So it's very important that you learn things. Learn, y'all.
You
And
just gotta
there's
learn things.
such a resistance of learning. Learn how to be a better cook. Learn how to listen better, communicate better, and you're going to be so far ahead of other people that I think learning is really people don't like it because of the public school system. This is just my opinion, but
No,
it's
it's
more of like a rote memorization system that school teaches where people have like they don't want to learn because it's so discouraged um you know to force people to learn. You have to like want to learn, I guess. That's why with our kids we homeschool them. They love to learn because we don't push thousands of pages of homework on them. So when we're like, all right, let's learn, my son Elijah goes, yay, I love math. And I go, I'm never saying that when I'm that age. I hate school.
yeah,
so,
it's
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Just, I encourage everyone just to learn and everything that Jake's done. on YouTube and everything, you learned it, right? You've watched Think Media videos, you learned, and then you applied it. Wow, they call that wisdom, applied knowledge. Interesting. Um, can you give us like some maybe words of encouragement for people that want to do this full time? Maybe they want to do reselling full time, want to go social media full time. Can you like maybe give them a few key pointers? You already have, but maybe just drill
Mhm.
down on that to help people kind of open their minds.
Yeah, if you want to go full time in reselling, don't do it for the money, do it for the peace that it can bring. If you like you were saying at the beginning, like there must be a season of sacrifice if you really want peace or if you want a financial goal or anything like that. Like, man, reselling is awesome because like I can just go help someone clean out their garage or walk my dog or my wife and I can go on a date. And we can just do whatever we want because I don't know. Like I was saying, the first like 3 years of this business, I was just really chasing the dollar and I was making a lot of those dollars, but it was also given some anxiety and just constantly being wired and sometimes stressed and irritated and frustrated. And it's like, man, you have all these opportunities and you can just really enjoy life. So, what I would do is I would really sacrifice for the peace. If you hate your job and you really just want to be your own business owner, just work at your job for a little longer until you can actually build up a bank account so you can actually become a full-time reseller and stay a full-time reseller. Too many people just jump in and then they're like, okay, well, that didn't work. Going back to work.
Yeah.
Or it's like, wow, if you had $80,000 in your bank account, like you have time to figure it out and you have the peace to figure it out. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that made a whole ton of sense, but you just really gotta just aim for living a well balanced, joyful life, and you can become a full time reseller for
Know
sure.
the season you're in is basically what I got from that. Like,
Yeah,
planning, like you said, vision, planning, goals. That's all about identifying your current season and then planning for, okay, when this happens, we got a plan so we can initiate and capitalize on what's to come. That's why people during downturn times, during economic crisis, business owners love it because they can
yep.
capitalize on the downturn time. There's more millionaires made in downturn times
I was
than
about to say
bull
everyone
market.
thinks that millionaires are destroyed during the recession, but millionaires are created during
Yeah.
recessions.
More during that
It's
time,
nuts.
yeah, and it's not
Yeah.
done with crypto, y'all. And I love that, and another thing I got from it, we'll end on this, is pain now or pain later. You're gonna experience the pain some way or another. Either it's pain of the sacrifice now or pain later of regretting not doing what you could do, and I don't wanna live with regrets, so I'm gonna work 14-hour days because I know I'm capable, but also because when I'm 50, I don't wanna be regretting it, so yeah, I appreciate it. I think that most people should just pull some nuggets out of this, apply it, and watch their life transform. I got all of Jake's social media links down below. Go and follow him wherever. He's everywhere. But yeah, appreciate it, man. Again, we'll have to have you on again. I hope you have a blessed Christmas. And for the people
That was
watching,
sweet.
comment down below, what are your takeaways? What are your thoughts? Maybe some struggles. I'd love to hear to help you, take that next step. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, we'll do this again. Have a blessed day, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, bye.
Boneski.